Preparing to sit for a tell-all interview that would be ahead of his coronation, May the 6th. Let's bring in royal watcher Neil Sean. Neil, this isn't being confirmed, it's just a report. What do you know about this?
Good afternoon, Stuart from London. Yes, well, first of all, let me tell you, this report is totally untrue. He's not doing a sit-down interview to reveal all about Prince Harry's book. You know, what's really happening, and we always like to tell you...
But is he doing a TV interview, Neil? Is he doing a TV interview? Because Queen Elizabeth never, ever sat for any kind of interview. This would be an absolute first, wouldn't it?
Well, it's not really for him, is it? Because if you remember way back in the 90s, he did do a sit-down interview about, of course, his marriage breakup. So it's not like we haven't heard Charles speak before. But in this instance...
He's the king.
Yeah, I know. But what he's planning to do, right, Stuart, is simply this. Ahead of the coronation, there are very tentative talks right now with the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, about him sort of sitting down and talking about what people can expect, what he's hoping for the day, etc. The way this has been spun is a bit like, oh, he's going to address all the things that Harry and Meghan disclosed in that distasteful Netflix documentary, and then, of course, Prince Harry's tell-all book. But it's not the case at all. I mean, it would simply be beneath him, you know. Once you go into that, you're almost validating the book and then giving them publicity, you know, not just Harry, but of course the publishers, Penguin Random House. But there is this sort of early chat about, you know, would you like to address, you know, your subjects and the Commonwealth, naturally. And I think we'd all like that because obviously this is an historical event, Stuart. It's a life-changing event for so many people. The very first time for all of us, really, many of us, should I say, that have ever seen a coronation. So contrary to popular belief, it's not a tell-all sort of speech.
OK, next one. This is for you. Boris Johnson claims Putin threatened to target him with a missile strike. Watch this, please.
He threatened me at one point and said, you know, Boris, I don't want to hurt you, but with a missile, it would only take a minute or something like that.
Neil, what do you know about this?
There's a slight reference to the fact that when he sat down with the president, Putin, basically he said this comment, you know, that I could really knock you out if I wanted to, you know, sort of extinguish you and all that sort of stuff. Now, Boris, in his sort of affable way, recounted this. Now, a lot of people are saying, particularly over here, I have to point this out, that it appears that Boris is even more hated than Putin by the British media, because they're basically saying, lie another day, you know, the spin on the Bond movie. And so what's the true story behind this? And as ever, we could tell you this first, is that those conversations are recorded. And consequently, what we are told is that Mr. Johnson, the former British Prime Minister, will be revealing all in his forthcoming memoir, another memoir for us to read, Stuart. And that big deal, of course. But it's what's actually happened on a serious note is obviously the Russian side of things then refuted this. And this has created quite a lot of, shall we say, anxiety, as one can imagine. But also, it does appear, and it's a little bit like your former president, the 45th president of the United States, President Trump. You know, the public adore Trump, but the press don't. And this is the bottom line that you have with Boris over here. You know, the public, when you go out, they adore him, but the British media seemingly don't. So they've made this into something of a negative, and obviously, you know, everything will be revealed. But a little bit, shall we say, clever for Boris to do this on a big day, and also wipes out, in many respects, the fact that we have another British Prime Minister in the Right Honourable Rishi Sunak. Who's he when Boris is around?
Wait, quickly, I believe 500,000 workers are striking in Britain today. Britain's a mess. What's going on? Absolutely, Stuart, an absolute mess. 100,000 teachers are on strike, along with the rail unions. But let me point out this little fact. Over here in England, the teachers are the highest paid in Europe. They have the most holiday, and they have that gold-plated pension. So a lot of people over here know two things. They're not striking when it's their holidays, but once again, disaffecting and affecting the education of the young people over here who've had such a tough time, as everybody, with the pandemic. I'm sorry I'm out of time, but Neil Sean, thanks for being with us this morning. Good stuff.
A pleasure.